We believe mixed is the best for the sport, for the world. That's why we're making a global showcase, starting in Europe, made in Amsterdam. ULTI.TV, ULTILeague.net.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Women's semi-finals at Tourney 2023. Myself, Hannah Penderbury, alongside Charlotte Terrason, and we are going to have a tussle in front of us to see who will advance to finals later this afternoon. Great Britain versus France, two talented national teams with their eyes on Limerick later on this season. Charlotte, how are we feeling about these two?
Really happy to see them meet each other on the semi-final here for this first women's semi-final of Tourney 2023, and this gives us a little taste of EUC.
It absolutely is. It's a preview, so I'm sure both teams will be watching this back on, along with the rest of the pack, to do a little bit of scouting. So welcome, welcome. Glad to bring you this coverage. Please do consider becoming a patron so we can bring you more tape to scout your opponents. But neither of these teams have had a clean sheet so far in the tournament. They've both conceded losses. GB yesterday lost against Jinx on the live stream 12-10, and of course the French also having a loss in front of us against LMU yesterday. They advanced out of into Power Pool M, out of Power Pool L, which was decided by a three-way tie. So talk about parity in a women's division.
I mean, we know everyone comes with a strong level, and here scores are showing us that even no national teams can keep up with national teams. I mean, each of these club teams have really strong players, also part of their own country's national team, obviously. And we see it with these results.
Absolutely. Of course, GB women coming seeded second into the standings here at this tournament. BFD Shout seeded in first position, pole position, you could say. And the French taking a win over BFD in Universe yesterday. Did you have a chance to kind of get a sense of what that game was like, Charlotte?
I talked with few of the players and they told me that was a really good game. They were expecting Shout to be strong, knowing the players, since most of the French team is also Yaka players, and they know these girls. They were ready for this. They were expecting a lot, but they just gave everything that was needed, and French women came out with the win on this Universe point. I wish we could have seen that. That must have been amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And we did have some great games from GB as well yesterday. Their one against Jinx was quite the stormer. Jinx, of course, a much shorter roster here at this tournament. They are in the other semi-final. We'll be playing against Shout. So we'll maybe bring you an update at the end of the game, because we don't have live scorekeeping here at Tom's. It's just that traditional you keep score and they get reported afterwards. So that'll keep us interested as we see the first pool go up for GB. So France coming out on offense. They can be a bit up and down, heavy contact, and the foul's going to be called straight away. Ellie Payne trying to get a little bit too hungry there. We like to see the attack and fire. High stall count, going to have to chuck it around and hope. Can there be the attack? No, the pressure's on, but the catch is made. Chatrin firing into the centre. Nice catch from Langlois. Ali Mondiaux opens up a huge backhand, and that is a great easy read. Valet, again, a touch lost for options. Eventually chooses the soft side of the pitch though, and that's a really lovely arcing flick. First goal on the board, Colline Chatrin collects.
What a vision of the game by the French players. I mean, this first hug from Rasta, Aline Mondiaux, was amazing, with Chloé Valet for the catch. She just jumped alone as if no defense was there, casually took her disc for a beautiful score above the head of the defense, around sidearm in the hands of Colline Chatrin.
Well, there are a couple of high stall passes in that point, so clearly GB's defense doing a good job of applying that consistent pressure. Getting another look at that scoring pass. Bit of a cluster in front, but really just nice patience from Valet, finding that option all the way across the pitch.
And I think the GB defense was very tight, but more of downfield tighter, and Rasta, Aline, excuse me, I used to call her like this.
Oh, we can call her Rasta. To be fair, Mondio goes by Rasta so much that it
Yes.
might as well be her legal name.
So Rasta saw this and probably threw that hug for this reason. I mean, Vale being free upfield, obviously also a reason, but to open the game and don't let the GB defense put too much pressure on the players downfield.
Well, give go to get us underway. Brew working with Hyde. Van Krieken to Hunter. Dahlman being given acres of space underneath. Kwok now muscling, but that's a big overthrow from Hayley Dahlman, giving the disc to the French. Injury call though. Lucy Hyde seems to have undone her legs a little bit. She's going to go put them back together. But all smiley face, just a little bit of a limp. So she'll be replaced by, looks of it, Emma Klima. So first opportunity for a break. High stall, high backhand release. Raimondo finding Bocanegra. All the way across to Becker. Well, Petit Bon even.
Barta all alone on field. There was miscommunication. Oh,
Great redemption. Larentin launches a big flick, but I'm not sure exactly to whom, because Hayley Dahlman all alone, just making sure that one ends up in the grass.
the French offense seemed to be struggling to get free, to know what to do. No one was moving from the stack, leaving the disc, the person with the disc alone with no options. That is probably also why Barantas chose the huck option. You want to get rid of the disc as far as possible from your end zone if you're going to lose it.
Yeah, I really don't mind that huck on a high stall, and it was a very nice one. Good execution, despite the high stall, high pressure. Hunter calling for the reset from Hannah Brew, but cluster in the middle. Pit call as Hayley Dahlman goes off to the races. And love the monkey, the Grenoble team, with the shirt for Lucina.
Yes, national teams don't have time yet to get their jerseys, so we see a lot of pickup jerseys. So fancy mix.
And of course, the Monkey Food Tournament, one of the most pleasant tournament experiences you can hope to have for a party tournament. Oh, dish over the top, cheeky from Dahlman to connect with Brew. A bit of a toss from Avril Hunter, but that one escapes the clutches of Laura Van Krieken.
An unfortunate bounce in the hands of the player.
Well, trying to squeeze it in that line. Really tricky one for Van Krieken to have to be concerned with the feet as well as the hands.
Yeah, as we were saying all the time, we gotta think about everything while trying to catch in the end zone sideline. You better swing it and throw an easier pass for your cutters.
Well, no one making it easy for the French right now in terms of the defense. Tight match still the name of the game. Petit Bon working the under. Great attack, but the turnover is generated.
Great defense by Avril Hunter, attacking the disc, letting no chance to Becker to get a hand on it. Becker giving it all, and you know she can fight for the disc.
Two players sandwiching Emma Klima, but she's going to launch one to the break side, but that's going to be picked off with ease by Melina Dabin.
Great lecture by Dabin, putting herself in front of the other players, using her height and jump to get a hand before everyone else.
French looking a little clustered, and there comes the error. Barentin miscommunicated.
French women don't seem to really want that break. I mean, here's a lot of opportunities.
Well, I think it's more the quality of the defense the O-line's putting on. They really are doing a great job of sort of trying to clamp down field and cluster the space. Avril Hunter, though, finally at long last, GB put their first point on the board, but my oh my, that was a long time of asking.
Indeed, that was a long point. We're already 7 minutes into the game and only 2 points were scored.
And the French offensive point was quite quick.
It was.
So not what GB would have hoped to start with, but, you know, a bit of grit, a bit of grind, you know, getting down in the dirt. But some really short sections of possession. Look at the passes here, Charlotte, on our stats board. Big shout out to Misha, stats person extraordinaire, keeping us with all the factage. But there was one for each that was, you know, a good string of passes together. 7 passes for GB for one of their attempts, the sort of second turnover, and 6 for the French on their first attempt at the break. But a couple of possessions where there was, you know, 2 or 3 passes. Which the caliber of these teams, you want to see them do a little bit better.
I mean, we saw them turns happening in front of the zone, close to the zone. So you guess that there are not many passes happening. And as we saw Baranta throwing that hug to win yards, meters, it is because there were no options outfield, and this means no pass.
Well, maybe both teams needed to have a couple of extra slices of delicious Belgian bread at breakfast. Oh no, Gibson with a huge hand block. Woof. That was spicy for sure.
Now, GB definitely doesn't want France to have more passes on their stats.
Well, great defensive bid. Huge poach off Deniston. Technically has a dual nationality, owner of a French passport. Wedge on the near sideline. Has the other Gibson sister streaking up line, chooses the round to Deniston. Sarah Jeffrey's going to get away with that one though. Or it's going to get away from her even. Applying the mark on Valet. Mon Dieu. Shoots into the centre. Players sort of just trotting through. Le Born now.
I'm sure GB doesn't want to lose this break opportunity and gonna get it back, putting a hard pressure.
Nice holster from Valet. Chooses the inside, but that's going to be a slippery bit of business. Almost like there was a banana peel waiting in that end zone. Gibson with a huge launch, trying to hit Wedge. Can she make up the speed? No, little stumble there. Sort of catches herself on the back of the ankle almost.
That was a laser hack. I mean, she is fast. They know it, but come on.
So a much more grindy offensive point for the French. They had a golden opportunity in the end zone. Big poach off of the reset space. It's going to be a clear and fill. Oh, look at that vision across the pitch.
Mondio saw the poachers, uses them, don't let them unpunished, as we always say. Use it. If you have the throwing skills as she does, you can definitely hit those poached players.
Loving these around backhands now. Samarco exploiting the face mark. Valet reaching over the head of Jeffrey. Mondiaux opens up a backhand break of her own, and that is going to be good enough for the French women. But another grindy point.
Valet doing really well in this game again. I mean, last game we watched her on this live stream field. Valet had the best stats of the team. I mean, goals, assists, blocks, she got it all. And here again showing us without necessarily stats, she actually already, no, she has an assist on Cohen Charter. The first one was Valet, and already getting her stats up. Doing a great job saving this high reach by the defense, but just her hand was in front.
Well, a nice way to finish, but both teams with opportunities there. But this is what we're hoping to have, is a pretty closely matched outfit. You know, it is women's semi-finals. It's tough at the top. Lots of parity in this women's division. A couple of teams probably behind the pack, I think it's fair to say here at Tom's. A couple of the club teams that have turned up, not quite kicking and punching up at the top level. But of course, it's really difficult in a national season for a lot of teams to even put a squad together, having lost their best players, to kind of, you know, go and make those connections with their national squad teammates.
Especially, yeah, if you're missing players because they are playing with the national team and you have to face a national team.
It's tricky.
Gotta be ready. A good strategy. The stoppage on the field.
A few shots there of Hannah Brew, one of the captains, I believe, of this GB women's squad. Finds fellow Brightonian, or former Brightonian, Abby Coleman, who unfortunately is going to come unglued, trying to hit Lucy Hyde in the central space. So a turn generated by the French. Can they hold on to the Frisbee this time and get a clean conversion? Lambourlet with a high one, that's going to be picked off by Hyde. Kwok with the toss to Naden. Fakes to Thompson. But the pack all streaking through. Lovely flat swing all the way across to Kwok. Kwok, of course, having earned a gold medal at the European Championships back in 2019 in the mixed division. Alongside some of her fellow teammates, now choosing to delight us in the women's division. Brew fakes the big one, puts the lead up though. Hannah Thompson with the goal. And that's a nice smooth hold for GB after a minor stumble.
Again, this one was pretty long. GB's offense is taking a bit more time to get the points, but still get them done. No break to be seen so far. Although opportunities are not missing here. We've seen a few turns happening. But both teams maintaining their offensive goals. Both teams have only shown so far person matching defenses. We haven't got an eye on other tactics defensively or on offense, only vertical stack. Would like to see later in this game what these teams have as tactics, or maybe they don't want to show it on live stream now so that their opponents for the EUC Championship won't get to prepare for those.
It is the age-old question when you're a national team being recorded for posterity. You know, do you give your best, your best options? Do you go for A through C on your playbook, or do you go deeper into the pocket, try some other stuff? You know, maybe hide some of your better connections. But a zone coming out for GB as they try and confuse the French. San Marco, centre of the field, moving across to Mondieu. Mondieu carrying a little bit of an injury still from last season, and working very hard on her conditioning. So this will be dreamy for her to get to just stand around and throw it into the space. A battle in the air for short. Oh my goodness, that nearly was something a bit special and a bit ridiculous from a Langlois.
What was this throw? So hard to read, but Langlois got a hand on this one, so close to keep it inbounds.
It's almost if she'd sort of, pointed that finger in the air, it would have spun round. A la, what they do with the basketball, where they sort of, spin it and just hold it on the top of the finger. But that one escapes the grasp of Langlois.
Big poach from French player.
Oh, and a Callahan on the live stream. A bit of a loose disc from GB, and Mondieu collects.
Mondieu's not gonna let this one get through her hands for sure. Here's the chance for Callahan on live stream. And here's the highlight. What a way to score your first break.
Oh my dear Lord.
Oh my, no, I'm sorry. This is no break.
No, it's just
At
a
all.
hold. that was the redeeming factor after
Here you
Mondiaux
go.
threw that slightly curious. I mean, we love the big bladey sort of, over the pack throws, but perhaps not the most conservative, most boring choice. We know on the previous live stream game, the aim of the French yesterday was to play some boring offense, to be conservative. And Mondiaux looks at the zone and goes, you know what?
Maybe they had a change of tactics for this game. I mean, we've seen fancy throws so far from Mondiaux, over the cap, working for most of them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So maybe either she's feeling very comfortable, as I mean, would Mondiaux be, or they just gave they opened the gates for the fancy plays.
But in GB's camp, it's never what you want. You're never going to delight in a Callahan. But if it's a Callahan for a hold, there is at the least the thing of you have not conceded a break. Brew. Naden going off to the deep space, trailed by a couple, but no one quite catching up. And that's going to sit and hang and be picture perfect. Becquet over the shoulder, but closes the book.
What a beautiful move. Look at this hawk. I mean, perfectly read by the British player.
Well, Naden is a very dynamic athlete, real commitment to the weight room for sure. She lifts Brew. And Brew with a really nicely weighted shot here. Bit of a tricky one to read. You can see Naden having to really just keep the forehead up. You can almost see the front of her head from behind there. So not always the nicest of those to read, but the perfect spacing in terms of the ability of that to just sit into the lap.
I mean, it's definitely not the most comfortable position to get your full speed when you have to outrun Elise Becker, but British player did amazing here, showing that she can run in any position and get a disc.
And I believe Naden will be pulling double duty for GB this season, also representing at the Masters level, because she's apparently eligible. Who knew? She's just come out of nowhere. But of course, we love the Masters division, and athletes, of course, aging up into it. So, high one that's going to be picked out of ripped out of the air by Gibson. Goodness. Very feisty on defense this morning. She's had a Weetabix. Jeffrey filling in. Van Sale. Oldfield now.
GB with the break disc in their hands.
Yes,
so close to get first advantage here.
Sarah Jeffrey putting it all the way around the world. Denniston ripping it out. Oldfield gunning in. And that is the break for Great Britain, taking the lead here in this women's match. Semi-finals, 4-3.
What a catch. What a nice move. Dancing in the sky.
That was a real Spitfire aerial battle, wasn't it, for GB?
That was yes, it was. What a cool way to grab a disc. Get this first nice jump. And here comes the second. Never.
Well, this is where we're going to get it.
Here
Layla Denniston. Big ups.
Nice.
And I like the attack from Oldfield. Valet can't really do anything to adjust. Perhaps caught a little bit flat-footed after playing some watch the catch. It's always a thing when you're playing defense. If your opponent makes an amazing catch, sometimes you're a bit like starry-eyed, like, oh goodness, that was nice. And then you're like, I should have played defense. I should have ignored you being good at Frisbee and just kept on grinding.
I'm the one trying to prevent you from being good, actually. Trying my best.
Well, it's not stopping them from being good, I think. The job of the defender is to make the offense have to be as good as they humanly possibly can.
In a way, yeah. Point is to give the best show possible. This is the real aim of playing. Give us
absolutely. A show. It's all just for the fans, and we are
of course
delighted to have you with us. Of course, finals day here at Tom's Tourney. We're going to have lots of eyes and glued to our streams, and we'll be here with you all day long. But the French looking to put another one in the pocket, having conceded that break. Can GB get some momentum to go? A couple on the bounce. Langlois across to Mondieu. Lubon.
GB again with the zone defense, which worked before, so why not use it again?
Well, they got a bit of intel from London Masters Ultimate, some of their fellow British players, that they'd had success in their win against the French with that wall-based zone. Of course, the French do like to shoot it deep, so if you play match... Oh, that's a really lovely just toss from the left hand of Langlois.
Tossing the disc in the end zone, in the air for her teammate and the score.
A lovely throw. I'm going to check and see if Langlois is a lefty or not.
She is a lefty.
Well, there we go then. I don't even need to check Charlotte Terrasson with all of the information for your viewing delight.
Of course, for teammates. I also play sometimes with Chuck, and I have to say, playing with Aurora is delightful. She's a great handler and can have so many throws like in her luggage. High release especially, she really likes this one. Back and high release, especially as a lefty. When you didn't notice yet, it's a really great tool to use against your opponent.
And so quite a young French women's team. You'll note that despite their continued success at the junior level, there is no French women's team going to the under-24s.
No, but this is more of a federation problem. And France rarely sent any U24 teams in any championship. They had one in Canada, open team, and then in Heidelberg, a mixed team. Very sad triangle story. We will talk about another time.
Well, at the moment, it's the French applying a zone of their own, trying to grab that break back that they are trailing against Great Britain. Kwok near side. Lots of flustery fakes. Started playing her ultimate at King's College to see Lucy Hyde, the former Newcastle University Pies player, with the big grab just to keep possession alive after a little bit of a loosey-goosey one from Kwok. Melt to match now from the French. Naden on the goal line, looking around, everything a little static. Pick called. So we have a very tight stack, very close to the thrower.
Yeah, usually people tend to go in the back of the end zone, not stay too close to the thrower while reaching the end zone, but interesting. It works.
Well, Hannah Brugge just grinding her way free on the backhand side for Naden.
French team tried to set a poachy, wally defense here on the handlers. We saw the three handler defenders try to prevent, I guess, the Hawks by putting this wally defense. But the GB players just kept running through it, moving, winning meters on every single pass. We saw that no dump was swung behind. Like, they just won meters, never going backward. Maybe the French defense should put more pressure on this, try to be poachy, but not too poachy, because if you take too much step back from your handler, then, as we were saying, the swing and dumps will go forward, and you just keep winning meters until you reach the end zone, which is definitely not what you want when you put such a defense. You don't want a direct huck, but you don't want either the handlers just casually walking towards the end zone. Gotta put more pressure.
Yeah, that was definitely a much smoother one. We're starting to clean things up here in this women's semi-final. Lots of clean holds coming through after a bit of a messy start for both sides. I like to think it's just the pressure, but I think also those kind of, you know, maybe early morning jitters just working the nerves through. But it's all about stress testing here at Tom's Tourney. Of course, the first event of the season for Great Britain, second for the French after they took that title earlier on this year in Limerick.
and awesome to see them both here playing half-final semis.
Oh, the redemption for Bobby Carr. Never took her eyes off that disc. Casual fake and then centers to Samarco.
Beautiful. She almost made it look obvious that she's gonna lay out.
Well, Bobby Carr, only
Great.
20 years old. Really excited to see how she develops as an athlete. Already superstar ability. Samarco. Cross. Chatrin. Nice, easy one. Who got caught sleeping there? I don't know, but that was a very free target.
Really nice. I don't know if that was a break side, but nicely put for the score.
Yeah, either way, regardless of whether it's break side or open side, there's no pressure on that reception whatsoever.
And tell me, Hannah, what would you choose if you were coaching now the French women? What would you put as a defense to stop these GB flows? Now they need to catch up, get their break back. What would be the tactic?
I would try and put some very intense match defense on. We've seen both sides put some zones together, which sort of allowed the pace of both sides to just sit back on their heels and kind of, survey the field. I think maybe, play a little bit of very intense, in the pocket match defense, really pressure the resets and try and get your opponents to throw a couple more risky biscuits downfield. Maybe with a kind of, some helping and switching to kind of shut down any initial long shots in the deeper spaces, but really say to your handler marks, we are going to force rushed options. Try and kind of goad, because we have seen some maybe less glamorous life choices being made at the beginning of this game. So maybe try and bring some of that energy back.
Okay, that's a good choice. Let's see if this is the coaching choice as well.
Oh well, I have to say I'm not the most talented coach in the world. I try.
But thanks for giving your opinion.
Well, it's a zone.
Apparently,
So
apparently they didn't chose your suggestion.
Naden immediately gunning to the deep space, doing one of the things she does best. Hunter stumbling around on this slightly soft pitch. Pick call. So that one will come back, because it was before the throwback to Hannah Thompson, who's got all of the pitch to play with and no defender.
Bit of discussion on the field, but as you're saying, there are players totally left alone on the GB side.
It's the opposite of what I said, Charlotte. There's
It's
no
the
pressure
opposite.
on that reset at all.
I'll listen to you so badly. I am sorry.
It's a completely free reset to Hannah Thompson if they want it. Just players
Yeah,
going
that's
back
what
a
I'm
little
saying.
bit. Yeah.
Oh.
I was agreeing with you. It's French are doing the exact opposite of what I said they should do.
Oh, okay, this.
You can't give teams a free gimme backwards. You gotta really grind it. But heck, it's red zone defense, so the most important thing realistically is preventing the score.
Whatever works.
And that does work. Oh, some sort of call, but it's going to be a score. It's all fine and good. Completely ignores the poach and takes Dahlman in the end zone. So 6-5, Great Britain leading the charge. I'm going to take a little chat with our eyes from the sideline, Stefan Rapazzo. Stefan Rapazzo, what do you think of this first section of the game so far?
An assist, saw her with the Callahan goal on defense. Looking onto the GB side, everybody contributing. Layla Dennison and Nader with 2 stats for herself. She's got on the board with an assist. Here you see the Aline Mondiaux Callahan in for one. And yeah, second half, stay tuned. The battle between Rasta and Dennison. Keep your eye out on that Tokai halftime show. Back to the action.
Well, thanks for that, Stefan Rapazzo, watching this game alongside all of us. And if you are with us, please do let us know. Make yourself known in the comments. Are you anually Muff or Let's Go GB? Of course, us in the booth here, very partisan.
Here GB again with the Pochi, Zoni, Wally, to prevent any kind of big gainers, but we know that the French players have the material to throw these over the cup, fancy throws if needed. So upfield players also have to be ready.
Valet on the far sideline. This is nice flow from the French, patient stuff. Good switching though, downfield from GB. Valet being allowed again that free, easy reset. Bit overthrown though. Maybe all that space getting inside her brain. Gibson doesn't want the disc.
Misfortune missed throw by French player. Just a bit too far to get caught. Now another break opportunity then for GB, who just got fired up these last few minutes. I mean, they definitely increase the intensity.
Wedge putting an absolute bomb into the end zone. Gibson underneath it. Can she run it down? No. Bit too much juice from Wedge.
She got in the danger zone of the soccer goal. You don't want to rush into these, even if it's for a score.
Absolutely, this is not the time. Maybe in Limerick is where you go for, so you know, shooting your body out of the back of the end zone towards the poles. Definitely not into poles. We can't recommend it enough to not throw your body at a pole. I really enjoyed in Leuven they had some lilos attached to the soccer goals. Maybe we need some of those.
Yeah. Oh yes. Flammable flamingos attached to the fields. Oh, nice save.
Really great bits to keep possession alive. We've got two number 7s. I think that might be Raleigh or might be Raymondo. Either way, a player with an R-named surname. Fantastic layout grab. So GB again with the zone, trying to convince the French to make poor life choices. Big pressure from Gibson, but Le Bon Nanou very calm. Far sideline though, that's not calm, but Babi Khan can catch that goal. Really nice throw from Chetinier. And that's a hold much needed for the French.
Babi Khan doing amazing on this game today. We've seen her save the disc with a second layout attempt. Great bid, and again, great actions in the end zone as well. This is already her second score.
Well, talk about pressing your opponents to make a high number of passes. That was 21 passes for the first possession of the French and 15 for the one they actually scored.
21 passes. I didn't see it go. It went so fast. With a wall zone defense, this is normal. You gotta do a lot of pass and keep possession, stay steady, calm. Don't rush it through the ends of the defense. And French girls did it perfectly, reaching the end zone for Babi Khan.
Well, currently trading here in women's semi-finals at Tom's Tourney. Delighted to be back in Bruges for this 2023 season. Always that different rhythm and shape of things when you've got so many national teams in a European Championship year. Naden near side. Punctures through with an inside backhand to Brew. Has Kwok around. Hyde now underneath. 2 medics at the back. Kwok and Hyde. Hannah Brew now. It's actually a product of Felix Shardlow, fellow ULTI.TV friend of the broadcast and main man producer. Is Brew. Was trained by Felix back in the day. Always had a keenness for throwing.
It's interesting to see the GB players play with only one handler and help dump coming from the stack directly, not second handler.
Well, it's flexible. Sometimes they have 2, sometimes they have 1 as they thread the needle to Rachel Naden. Hunter dancing around in front of her, but not really giving a decisive option between the sandwiching of the French. Kwok now, though, easy pickings for Naden, and that is a smooth, slick hold for Great Britain.
Everyone ready for the continuation. This gets swung and immediate cuts from all players in the right direction, but only the front one will get a hand on it. As long as one of them gets it, I guess everyone's happy. Great put. Luckily, the cuts were well executed because the disc was a bit behind, not behind the player, but not in front, and giving.
Wasn't a lead pass, was it, Charlotte? But it worked, you know. Naden had so much separation. You don't have to throw it too much for lead. She does have the time to slow down and just make the easy catch. But great work from GB, just moving through the gears there, and we are delighted to have lots of support in the chat for GB, but let us know if you are supporting the French women. I want to see some French comments. Test my pronunciation skills. Go on, have a go. If you want to shout out, get your butt into the comments. And of course, if you want to keep these streams available live, free, on demand, do consider becoming a Patreon member for as little as the cost of a coffee per month.
Or Zot.
We're all about the Zot here. Oh, huge pressure. Honestly, Kate Gibson is on fire this morning. She's really hungry. Oh no, an injury call. Maybe a bit too much fire.
Her abs must be too gained right now and cannot stop contracting it.
So just a stoppage as Karen Kwok will replace.
GB players are really giving it all to get the disc. They want to score another break. They already have the advantage, but what better than being more comfortable with more points ahead?
Oh, well, it's not that much of an advantage over a team as talented as the French. Just that 1 point extra breathing room. The French should start on offense in this game, so they are breathing down the necks of their opponents toe to toe.
French players a bit far from the disc here. I mean, maybe that's their tactic to let so much space, but it seems pretty far to me.
Yep, so Marco on the underneath looks around for Le Bon. Well, I think we've got a forced middle defense from GB.
A lot of flexed arms here.
So I think we've got a forced middle from the defense. Do you like that call, Charlotte?
I really like that call.
And I like
this is a really good way to stop the flow. You cannot just easily go for the handling give and go. And we got a foul call.
Defo tussle there. Just a little chat between Wedge and Langlois.
That was a great beat for the defense, but indeed it was a bit of contact, and
I think probably a bit of attempted acceleration over the shoulder of the player. afterwards is how it looked from our booth.
Yeah, Orlando had a good position. Cutie kids there.
Yeah, just enjoying the scenes here. So we've talked about the Zod. What's your other favourite thing about Tom's Tourney?
Other things?
Yeah. So we've got amazing Frisbee, lovely sots. What are the other things that are good about Tom's
food.
Tourney?
We talked yesterday about the food, the venue, everything. The fields are amazing. Great stadium.
Amazing staff.
Staff.
We love Glenn and Boris and all the Frisbees. Boris in particular, because he has been looking after the stream team excellently.
He's been hosting us, feeding us. Thank you, Boris. We love you.
And of course, it's a 29th as we see a huge bid from Ellie Payne. Woof.
That was a clean defense layout.
Well, there you go. GB a little bit dirty maybe on that block before, but that one is clean as a whistle. Payne now with the disc.
Crazy layout. I can't believe it.
Puts one out though into no man's land. Bit of conservation of greatness for the young Spice player in the tank top.
Miscommunication, unfortunately, for the GB players. Thinking that was going to be a score. But the cutter had another plan. Cut it back.
Valet underneath. Oh, that's a bit low. It's going to be nearly picked out of the sky by Wedge. But by trying to make the bid, gives up a little bit. And there is the goal for the French. They hold.
Great way to open the fields. Both French players who went long. Both GB defense reaching for the disc, aiming for it, leaving Orlando alone in the zone. And obviously, Alice Samarco used this and got the score.
It was definitely a low huck. I think it was Valentin that threw that. And it was probably maybe like 2 inches over the fingertips of Molly Wedge, if that. But get another look at that huge block from Ellie Payne. Set that one up beautifully. I had no idea that was coming. I was about to mention that it's the 29th edition of Tom's Tourney. So what a long-standing... It's nearly as old as I am.
It is 29 years.
Mm-hmm.
Were there dinosaurs back then?
I wasn't old enough to remember at that point.
By the way, talking about dinosaurs, I think our Frenchy girls like dinosaurs. There were something on their Instagram page. Every player had to present herself and saying which dinosaur she would like to be. Limerick, they were walking around with a balloon mascot of a dinosaur.
Love it.
So...
We'll decide what dinosaur you want to be after we see this point from GB. Oh,
let me time to think about it.
West trying to get free in the underneath space. Going to be a slice through to Brugge. Big ripper of a backhand. West turned on the burn.
Oh!
Layout grab, Hanny West. And it's called immediately inbounds. Excellent spirit from the French. Oh my. Now, that was exciting.
Yorwith throwing her body, extending it, making it longer. I don't know how she did that. A crazy, keeping her feet in bounds. What a layout.
Well, a 4-pass score. It's made the GB squad for the 2020 women's team, the youngest player on that squad for the tournament that never was.
Fortunately. But she was already present on the U24 championship in Heidelberg 2019. I don't know exactly how old she was, but very young.
Yeah, having played at the University of Warwick and St Albans, and of course everyone's favourite team to watch, Purple Cobras. Allo Dodgeball, taking the kind of salutes from that. Have you seen the film Dodgeball?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
The Purple Cobras, yeah. They're a real vibe. But possibly one of the most casual players ever seen on a Frisbee pitch. Never seen a catcher just with 2 hands. But that was a brilliant layout grab for Hannah Yorworth. Ooh, nearly coming through with the block for Emma Klima, but well kept. Good adjustment. Chartrain for Babican. Looking casual. San Marco now. Mondio playing in the upfield. I like that adjustment. Just hiding the weapon in the stack. But Denniston is matching up. But she's going to get the run-through block. It's a smart matchup to put an athlete like Denniston on Mondio. The height advantage, amongst other things, but really great explosive attack. And a timeout taken by Molly Wedge.
Great vision and lecture.
Just as Denniston drew it up, I think probably one of those setups where she's slowed down the pace a little bit and then just
just speed up through it. You thought you could get it? No, I was here just waiting for you to get the disc.
Exactly, faking out the person with the disc. But we are going to take a brief break alongside the athletes. We'll be right back with more action after this.
Nova Scotia Electric, become a member.
Welcome back to this corker of a match. Women's semi-finals at Tom's Tourney 2023. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Charlotte Terrason. We are glued. Avis, one of our lovely photographers there, just looking around, trying to get those glamour shots for the Graham, amongst other platforms. At the moment, Great Britain leading the charge. They have disc in hand and are sniffing at their second break in this match. We are delighted, though, to have fans from both sides. And Ale Leblanc from Robin Solo. Thank you so much for joining us, Robin. Wedge with an inside shot that's going to overshoot. Le Bon just marshalling the defense at the back, collecting that one. Chartrain is going to have to extend, but that one's going to bobble to the dirt. Denniston's going to adjust around, and there we go. A second break for Great Britain after an error from the French, giving it away.
What a harsh feeling. This little hope, you get the disc, you get the defense, and immediate loss of the disc. This is an emotional roller coaster for the French side, and I mean for the British side as well. Finishing on top of the roller coaster, though, for them. Getting another score here, 9-7. French really gotta step up and start putting on the intensity to get this disc for the breaks and also score their offense.
It seems like the French are a wee bit quiet this morning. They've been making some choices, especially on the resets, that are unnecessarily ill-advised, I think. They've been, apart from that sort of, you know, sneaky setup from Layla Denniston, which is very smart, intelligent defense, they've had some ones where they've just been really loose with the disc. They've made shots that have sat and hung, but they haven't had the legs to get under it. What do you think's going on, Charlotte?
I'm actually also wondering what is going on. I think they're just maybe not, the mindset is not here. They didn't wake up or weren't expecting GB to play this way. Maybe the type of game of GB is really not what they are used to.
Well, Chartrain's going to extend herself, but again, not quite able to connect with the disc, just taking another layer of dirt for that shirt.
And maybe this is also something not helping these 50-50 shots that might have worked at the beginning of the game a little bit are now getting tougher and tougher, with players getting tired as well. I mean, it's the 7th game of the weekend, intense games, people getting tired. You cannot just go for these 50-50 shots. And just too far for our long to get the defense.
Big shot going deep for Gibson. Becke, though, with the attack. She slaps it down with a begloved hand and says no. Yeah, the French, Charlotte, are taking those options that are not quite the high percentage shots. It's a bit like when you're playing tennis and you're trying to absolutely smash your serve. Sometimes you have to bring the pace down, you have to bring the energy down just so you can get it in the box consistently, and then you can add that extra fire when you're on offense.
Yes, exactly. They might need to have a steadier offensive dumps setup to be sure to keep the possession, to keep this disc moving without problem, to then wait for the opportunity of a deep shot. This 50-50 shot we're talking about, exactly this kind of situation. You don't want to have to force these upline throws that are hard, because as we see, a little inside angle and the disc will be out. You really have to be a sniper to get these shots correctly. So you'd rather have a steady team able to swing, to get out of a trap situation, to be able to reset and rework on the cuts, on the plans.
Well, Heather Gibson bringing the disc back into play. Love putting both Gibson sisters on the D line for GB. Oh, leaves it inside shot for Coman. What a tasty throw that was. Underneath for Marsh. Easy dish to Neve. Marine biologist, actually originally hailing from the States, is Neve. Oh, nice grab. Gibson sisters for the goal, and that's a break again for GB. 10-7, double digits, and a 3-point cushion as we hear the tune behind us coming over the tannoys. ABBA letting us know we've got 5 minutes remaining, and lead coach Alex Mazin at the last gasp calls the timeout, because you're not allowed to take them in the last 5 minutes here at Tom's.
Is it allowed as long as the jingle hasn't finished yet? Amazing GB women on fire, scoring breaks and breaks. I gotta say, I really liked Aman Babikan's layout attempt. That was a big layout.
Absolutely, that's what you've got to do. Well, GB are clicking and humming. They're a real vibes team, and the vibe is good in the red camp. But we will bring you the action after these messages.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future, and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Women's semi-finals here at Tom's Tourney 2023, the first event for many of the national teams here in Brugge this season, looking at Limerick later on this year. Of course, we'll be bringing you that tournament live, free to watch. Please consider becoming a patron to support us doing that. But of course, not the first event of the season for the French. They took the title at Siege, but at the moment they are trailing 3 breaks versus Great Britain, who have their eyes on the money.
Let's see if this timeout was beneficial. Can you say this in English? Beneficial, yeah. Beneficial to the French line. If they will get fired up as they need to be, as is GB women now, to get back on track and get the breaks. to catch up, tied up the score, and get us a universe point as we always wish to get on these live streams.
Absolutely, get every last squeeze of juice out of the fruit. Valet on the far sideline, not having quite the same level of game as she had on the previous live stream game we covered for the French women, but hopefully they can clean it up. They just need a simple hold. Sarah Jeffrey playing excellent match defense on that handler reset. Mondio coming in. Bit more of a fair match in terms of height with Klima. Oh, beautiful pop over the pass to Barentin. Pickle, things get a little bit messy.
Very nice put from Mondio over the shoulder of her player, right in the run of Varentin.
It's really fun watching two players of a very similar caliber and very similar build match each other, and it's a similar story for Oldfield and Barentin. Almost inch for inch in terms of stature. Oh, and that is something curious, but a fine in the back corner. Over the top, Valet rises, skies Jeffrey, and that's a hold much needed. Stops the train of breaks for GB.
Really nice matchup to see here. Valet and Jeffrey. Jeffrey putting a lot of pressure on the defense, doing a great job shutting down those dump offers, cuts. But Valet rising out of the end zone to get the score. What a saver. That was a last second throw.
It's a really nice option actually. The way kind of like it sits and hangs and just drops in that back corner. Lovely execution from Maëlle Barentin.
Now is the important time for France, because we're reaching the last minute of the game. It is 10-8 for GB. GB starting on offense here. Never mind, time is over now. So that was not the last minute. We are playing the last point before cap.
Indeed, so finish this one and then add to the highest score. So maximum we're going to get a game to 12. But the French will need to get themselves a break here and make it a game to 11. If they're going to keep their dreams of a final alive. Thompson finding Dolman, a little pop up into the air. Yorworth now, who'd had that huge layout grab for the score. Hyde. Call from the sideline, less cutting as all of GB's players go. Yorworth in the back cone. Tasty footwork, she owns that zone.
That's her corner there. Layout tiptoe, just missing a sky from her there. And that would be the bingo.
Yeah, I like a bit of Frisbee bingo. I think we should play some Frisbee bingo in the final, Charlotte. But GB riding the wave of energy, vibes all day. Game to 12, 11-8 the score as we are looking to get into finals, baby. But the French women, this is now, we talked about the previous games that we had on the live stream. GB versus Jinx was very much a stress test. These early season tournaments are, yes, can you win games? Can you put your offense together? But how do you face that pressure? How do you come back off of a loss? And both these teams have conceded losses, one each. France, maybe they gave a bit too much in that shout game, do you think, Charlotte?
This is an interesting point indeed. Maybe that was really intense, and now French players started to get a bit tired, but at the same time it is a national team. They have a big roster, large roster, exactly for this situation. I mean, you are getting ready to play EUC a whole week, so they should get the legs. I mean, still early in the season, but
to be fair, I like the week-long tournament format in terms of legs, because you generally play maybe 1, maybe 2 games a day. It's very civilized. But Wedge with the block over the top, denying Samarco. It's that extra bit of wingspan.
GB just one step away from final. If they score this,
But Gibson sisters on the charge. Kate very free, being yelled at to clear through. It's going to be Heather Gibson launching to Molly Wedge, and they just route won it, and GB are into finals.
what a last move! I mean, that was a high hack directly in the hands of the player. GB player running perfectly to put herself in front of the defense. Look at this. No option to be seen.
Well, it's there. I'm just not sure that Heather looked for Kate. Perhaps a bit more movement was required. I think the coaches might have something to say about that, because Wedge is one of the players who's got big set of shoulders, can sort of just, you know, as I say, route one it into the end zone and just expect she's going to come down, climb the ladder. But that will finish us off. Semi-finals in the women's division here at Tom's. 12-8 Great Britain over France, and it never really looked like it was in French hands. GB got that break quite early on in the game to take it 4-3. The natural advantage, of course, being in French hands. They won the toss. There's no halves here at Tom's until you get to finals. So it was the French to give away, and it felt a little bit like that, Charlotte.
Yes, I feel that they might not be happy with their game here. We know that they have a lot of power and talent, and I feel that we didn't get to see it now during this game, and that they had much more capacities. They will be working on for sure. I mean, we're only big in May. They still have 2 months to go for Limerick, and we will meet probably a whole new team in Limerick. I mean, same players, but
but they'll have changed. They'll have metamorphosized over the course of this season.
Evolved.
As you've said, Charlotte, this is not the main show for either of these teams. France already having a title from Siege. They're going to have to play off for bronze later today, but it's going to be Great Britain advancing into the final against the winner of Shout or Jinx. No idea who's won that game so far, but of course we'll wait for the live scores to come in via the Tom staff. But I've been Hannah Pendlebury for Charlotte Terrasson and all of our ULTI.TV crew. Keep your eyes glued to the screen, especially if you're a Great Britain fan. We're going to have GB Open next against Mooncatchers. Don't go anywhere. We will see you very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, ultimate.
ULTI.TV.